spend millions on Lake George, New York, with suction dredges and eradicating milfoil. They spend millions of dollars in taxpayers' money and huge amounts of time carrying on about invasive species and the sucking of milfoil out of the lake. One thing they won't talk about, though, is the Moses Sanders Dam and the massive destruction of property on Lake Ontario and the St. Lawrence Seaway from the up and down, up and down, up and down waters all over Lake Ontario. Now, to the Warren County Board of Supervisors, to the town of Queensbury, to the village and town of Bolton Landing, New York, where the RPI University operates the dumbest ass lake in the world, and to the Lake George Mirror, and to the Post-Star. Why is it that we can talk endlessly about milfoil and Asian clams and the dumbest ass lake in the world, but we don't want to talk about the flushing operations of the giant toilet, the commode, the mill pond, Lake George, New York? Why is it we don't want to talk about dam number 230? The people of the state of New York will spend millions upon millions trying to clean up the waters that are turning green in Lake George. And they'll carry on with all kind of septic tank ordinances where you have to, get a septic tank inspection when you transfer a property to see if your septic leach field, your brown field, all the brown fields in the Lake George Basin are all leaking into Lake George. Every single last one of them in the basin, not just along the lake shore. You see those brown fields get saturated with rainwater and snow melt off, and they leach, they drain into the water table. They drain into the groundwater, and then they drain into Lake George via the springs. Let's talk about Lake George lake flushing. David Wick over at Lake George Park Commission and Basil Sagos. Let's have a real discussion on the flushing of Lake George using Dam 230, the Dam A of the upper privilege. Isaac Kellogg, Judge Isaac Kellogg's dam there at Weedville, where the Poop Chute River gets flushed of all of its sewage and all of its industrial wastes. You see David Wick and Anthony Hall of the Lake George Mirror and the Adirondack Explorer and the Adirondacks Museum and Union College and SUNY Bay Road, State University of New York Cornell, Andrew Cuomo, Bill Blaze, the mayor of Lake George Village, and the town council, the village council there for Lake George Village. Let's discuss the massive property damages all over Lake Ontario and the St. Lawrence Seaway caused by the Moses Sanders Dam. Exactly like Dam 230 or Dam A causes lake damages on Lake George. The exact same destruction processes. Precisely the same thing. Dam 230 is just a bit smaller than the Moses Sanders Dam, but it's the exact same scenario. Precisely the same scenario. They're flushing the sewage-laden waters of Lake George, New York, using Dam 230. And the Post-Star and Kathy Bozzoni and Dan Steck and Betty Little and John Stroh of the town of Queensbury, let's have a real discussion on the up and down, up and down, up and down waters on Lake Ontario and the up and down, up and down, up and down waters on Lake George and all that sewage and industrial mill waste that's getting flushed. And that's a challenge to the United States Army Corps of Engineers, the Environmental Protection Agency, and to the Department of Environmental Conservation Basil Sagos. I don't have a whole lot more to say. All the information, all the proof, all the evidence you possibly could need are below. Have a nice day.